These violent delights do indeed have violent ends. Screen time salutation to all you internet dwellers out there, and welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I'm joined with the boys as always. Keelan, how you doing, man?
Can't complain, man. It is a great Sunday and Westworld.
Westworld, indeed. And we got the mustard here. Dijon, how you doing, man?
Doing okay, man. Looks like you guys are doing pretty good for this Violent Delight Sunday.
But oh yeah, Sunday, Bloody Sunday. That'll work. Um, and thank you so much, you guys, for listening. We very much appreciate it. Anytime that you take out a little bit of time out of your day to listen to us, we're always very appreciative of that. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the last two episodes of the first season of Westworld. And man, there is a lot to discuss, and I would try to recap everything, but I think it's going to be a lot better coming from Dijon and Keelan, as this is the first time that they finished the season of Westworld, first season. So we definitely want to get their input about all of the twists and turns that this series takes. And overall, what our final verdict is for season one. We'll get to that at the end of this episode. But first, we got to get first impressions. And let's, who wants to go first? Who wants to start?
Do it, Mr. Keelan. You got that smile on your face. Go for it.
Because I don't even know if I can really summarize like my initial impressions because of the way that this all really came around and down, and it was almost like a roller coaster. Well, no, it wasn't almost. It was a roller coaster, but there were so many twists and turns. My initial impression would be something of a pretzel of a statement, and I'll just leave it at that. I'll explain the statement without saying it. A pretzel of a statement would be the outcome.
All right, yeah. I think that we can dive into the logic behind that statement for sure. But Dijon, first impressions, how do you feel?
Let's see. How can I put this? It's a lot to try to sum in just a couple of words, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot to take in, a lot to try to process. I'm still processing it. As much as possible, but it was interesting. A lot of twists and turns for sure.
Yeah,
To piggyback right off of that, Kaylin, it's definitely a pretzel.
it is definitely a pretzel indeed. Yeah. Well, yeah, we're recapping episode 9 and 10, the last two episodes. So I don't know how you guys want to do this. I mean, we could go beat by beat, but I feel like that's going to be a 2.5 hour podcast. So, I mean, I think what we figure, what do you guys want to talk about episode 9? And then we can try to get as much of episode 9, the major beats, and then we go into 10 where all of the twists come.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was pivotal in episode 9 to learn that, first, after we see Bernard analyzing Maeve, and we have Maeve making the statement before we really know what's going on. Maeve makes a statement, and her statement is basically saying that she knows Bernard, which confused me at the beginning, but I liked it because it left some question. It was like, okay, there's going to be some information that's going to make a lot of this all of a sudden. I didn't think it was going to shift as hard as it did, but I initially thought we're going to get some information that's going to tell us so much about the original, like the build of this whole world, that it's going to knock our socks off. I couldn't have made up what happened. But so from there, we learned that Arnold made the processing core that innately creates what the hosts are. Like, Robert has nothing to do with that. That's off Arnold. And because of that, there's this mystery that lies within the host that I guess for a minute we're trying to figure out if Ford is aware of it or if he's just not learning about it with everyone else. That came to me at the very beginning, and when we got that whole situation about the core and Bernard started to demand access to his memories, what I thought we were going to find pales in comparison to what we actually found.
Yeah. Yeah, there's man, there's so much to pick apart in episode 9 alone. I had like 13 major plot points that I took notes of. And so yeah, it is interesting to see Maeve's newfound sort of power. Which, then we find out more things about that in the next episode. But yeah, I thought it was kind of cool that she was able to freeze Bernard, and she also was able to recognize that he was a host
Immediately.
Yeah, immediately, which kind of like is kind of a interesting notion. I would think, maybe there's something about the hosts that they can recognize within each other. Makes you think, is everybody a host? I don't know.
Right.
Felix and Sylvester certainly aren't. So
right. And she was definitely able to tell Felix consistently, like, no, you're not a host. Like, knock it off.
Right. But I guess it gets down to the main crux of the idea is like, where is that line between human and host? And we really find out in these last 2 episodes that line isn't as delineated and clear as we thought it might be. It's a lot more murky. And that creates a whole bunch of ethical issues that we find come to a head in these 2 episodes. So yeah, where do you want to go next on episode 9?
Well, before we move forward, I just want to make the statement of there are so many great monologues. I wanted to write so many down, and after I wrote the second one down, I was like, I'm not reciting any of these on air. That's
the entire episode was
right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get that out because that was a thing that I actually had to cross out a good section of my notes. Like, okay, that's I can't use that. But watching Maeve go forth and build her army, so to speak, and at the exact same time but watching Logan dissect Dolores to make a point to William, trying to figure out what is the point he's trying to get across to William. And it didn't really register until we went a little deeper into William.
I actually kind of liked Logan in episode 9, and because he was like, he was really pissed at William, but then when William kind of like accepted that Dolores wasn't real, quote unquote accepted, he was like, okay, now we're cool, man. Like we could be buds again. And, like it's no harm, no foul. And I understand you got carried away and that's all good. But little did he know fucking William went full psycho mode. So
like lost his whole shit.
That's what happened when you're full of yourself and you're so into yourself. Like you don't see the keynotes of you just don't have those social skills.
Oh yeah, no social skills at all.
The beauty of being narcissistic.
And he's definitely a narcissist, that's for sure.
And what I loved about we'll get to the whole William story.
Oh yeah.
But what I loved about the beginning, that portion of the William story was, at first you thinking like, oh, he's playing Logan, but it's like, no, he wasn't playing Logan. He had really become a different person. And it was
that moment.
Yeah. It's like you were thinking like, oh, okay, he's about to take. It's like, nope. He accepted it for what it was. And once he accepted it, he was able to actually live in Westworld, which Westworld is auspicious at this point, but I'll explain that in episode 10. Something else I did notice though with the whole the William and Dolores situation. In episode 9, something happens that I don't think many people would catch, but then you get to episode 10 and you're like, oh shoot, that's what was going on there. And what happens is she leaves from this campground where the military dudes were doing all these things to her, et cetera, et cetera. And then she gets up from the same tree that she apparently leaned against, and she is clean and no longer bloody. But when she goes from there, she gets to the town and changes into those clothes, and that was the first of two times, one in each of these episodes, that I noticed an immediate scene change or settings change with Dolores specifically.
Yeah, a good rule of thumb for Dolores' character is that anytime you see her with different clothes on, it's a different memory.
Yep.
Yeah, like I guess that's the best way to kind of look at it.
You know what's crazy? Didn't get that till episode 10.
Well, yeah, they did their job right then. You weren't supposed to get that until episode 10. Yeah.
Listen, I am the snail that bought the salt in this entire series. I promise.
Yeah. Well, then we get, Bernard is going through his memories with Ford. I thought that was pretty cool. Obviously, that helps explain to the audience who Bernard really is, and we find out that Bernard is actually Arnold. Or a recreation of Arnold, to be more specific.
Well, so as with Bernard being inside of his memories, finding out what he did to Elsie or what he thinks he did to Elsie, I wonder, because this isn't large, so just in a small portion of leading into Bernard or Bernarnold, as I'm calling him at this point. Stubbs goes to check on Elsie's phone or comm that is but isn't there, and then he's surrounded by hosts,
Ghost Nation,
or which I don't even think were hosts at that point.
No, they are.
Oh, they are hosts. Okay, so they are hosts. I was very curious about that.
Yes.
But that just, to me, that was the beginning of when we really got deeper into the Bernard story. Yeah. So from there, we get into Bernard's memories, and I had to wonder, and this is honestly right before we find out that Bernard is Arnold. I wrote in my notes, is Arnold a host? Like, was Arnold originally a host? And I only thought that thinking like, okay, yeah, he killed himself, but then he had himself turn into a host because he wanted to recreate consciousness. And what other way to do that other than to take yourself out and implant your consciousness into this being that can unlock it through intervention, so to speak. And I was wondering, did Arnold implant a program or locks of sort that get unlocked with the amount of rebirths that they go through? Not reveries, but rebirths, like the amount of times that they're literally killed, wiped, and planted into another host.
Yeah. That's I think that's the mechanism behind the reveries, is supposed to help them remember things for sure. I think that the biggest distinction between Arnold and Ford is that Arnold was working towards creating host consciousness,
life.
Life. Yeah. Whereas Ford wanted to have an entertainment piece. He wanted to have robots that didn't have that thing. And he actually kind of, I think that there's, an interesting philosophical argument a bit between, like, is it ethical to create a host that has sentience, or is it better to just leave them as a robot? I mean, I would think I kind of side with Ford on that one, because, and I think Arnold sides with Ford on that one too, because he realizes that once he's given Dolores sentience, he's damned her to an eternity of hell.
Right. She's human, but she's not human, and she's stuck like that now.
Right.
Yeah. I thought what was so beautiful about the way Dolores found the sub basement and went through everything, only to find out that, or only to find out that those flashbacks we were seeing was Arnold and Dolores at the beginning, not Bernard and Dolores in present time.
Right.
And for her to have the memory of realizing that she's been walking through, like, this entire season of her, and I have some other theories on the entire season in general, but just the season of her, most of her season, the season we saw of her was memories. Most of what we saw through her was just memories.
One big loop. It seems as though that ever since the park opened, she took that trip out to Escalante, which is where the town is. Right. And she continued to do that over and over again to find the maze. And so, yeah, basically the entire season one is just a sort of an illustration of one of her loops. Where she gets as far as Escalante, then something happens and she gets planted back in Sweetwater, and repeats the whole process.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a game, but it's crazy.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the maze?
I thought the maze was a really great semblance of connection and the cornerstone that continuously comes up in episode 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all have it even in real life. We all have a why.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was meh.
Yeah. You don't have a why?
No, it just felt like at the beginning it was something of mystery, something very interesting. And until we get to that episode, I think it was either, I forgot the episode, but it was the episode when the man in black was there with Teddy, and he was sitting at that saloon, and he had that conversation with Ford when Ford came in, and the maid was mentioned, and it's kind of mentioned like, is it really for you? And it was a bit weird for me. Like I said, it started off with something mysterious, something cool. Like, all right, what's this maze? What is going to be there? Just as we get closer in the season, it just felt like a letdown. Until we really find out, like the last 2 episodes, more or less. Besides certain overshadowing, it was sincerely meant for the host, and mainly picture just for what's her name, Dolores. Just to regain just that high level of just consciousness, that sentient being, like we said earlier. This thing of like, you're human but you're not human, and you're damned because you're stuck knowing these things, knowing that the world you are in is basically your cage. No matter what you do, no matter what happens, So yeah, I kind of felt like the man in black at the end, like, what the fuck, really?
Well, I think it's interesting too, because I think that the maze was sort of a red herring, because we all thought that it was going to be this final destination that the man in black was going to get to. But throughout the season, they keep telling him the maze isn't meant for you. Yeah, and he just doesn't listen. Yep. And but interestingly enough, and I'm going to skip to the very last part of the season just for a second, not to go into deep detail, but I think it does illustrate that he made it to the center of the maze.
I believe so.
Which he did, and I think his revelation was, "I told you so," but it was more of a revelation, and it took him back to the beginning, because it was interesting. It was also funny because jeez, this is where I felt like it got way too convoluted towards the very end, was kind of mixing up things for me personally. When they were on a train back, when it was Dolores, William, and what was that dude's name?
Alonzo. Yeah.
When Alonzo mentions the maze too, and I'm just like, now I'm wondering at this point, after everything that's happened, only key people or key hosts knew about the maze. And like I said, I was just thinking like, it was just kind of a letdown, especially when you go back to the beginning, and he's taking that dude out of the saloon, and he's like skinning his head, just to get like a map. And I'm like, okay, that was kind of pointless in some sense, where it's like, damn, dude, you spent all this time in this fucking park and you just couldn't figure it out. But I guess he couldn't figure it out without
because he already made it.
Well, he couldn't figure it out until the hosts figured it out.
Yeah,
right. His end of the maze is their sentience. And so, like, he only gets to the end of the maze once the hosts become conscious and start to actually fight back, because that's his end goal.
That's his end goal. Right.
I think one thing I will say though is that I think that I can keep going, but I think what's interesting is that I think that the people the hosts that know about the maze. Because if you recall, there was a conversation, I think, with Bernard and Maeve, how many people have woken up like me? And Bernard says a handful. So it would be interesting. Yeah, it would be interesting to know if that perhaps the only ones that actually know about the maze are the ones that hit that consciousness at some point.
I believe so. No, I believe that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
which we probably won't get to see that to like season 2 or something like that.
Right.
And
Perhaps.
fuck, you said something I wanted to piggyback off of in a minute, but I forgot. It'll come back to me though.
Yeah.
Come back to me.
Well, and
Take 'em back to
really
me.
quick to the Man in Black, we find out that he actually, like on a human level, he did the exact same thing that the hosts have to do to unlock that next level of consciousness to find out what their purpose is, which is he had to go through the maze on the human form, really.
Mhm.
Actually, now I remember, and that whole idea of fighting back. I think that was his revelation toward the very end. He's like, "All right, fuck it, this wasn't meant for me." And blah blah blah. It's like he basically wasted his life instead of kind of like
Mhm.
living his life the way he was supposed to. Basically, what we find out in episode 10. But at the end of it, I still think he got his wish because he had
did.
that big ass smile at
Yep.
the end when
He got exactly what he wanted.
he won it. He's like, "Oh, I got shot. Fuck yeah, let's do this."
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, he has cancer, remember, so he don't care about dying. Just saying. So we're on episode 9, 10 now?
Yeah, I mean, we're
Eight
jumping
into
through.
10.
There's
Yeah,
some
I'm
stuff
looking
in
around that way.
9. There's what else happened in 9. So, I did like the scene where the Man in Black got tied up with the noose around his
Oh
neck.
yes, the death
Yeah.
game at the beginning.
hmm
That was pretty good. That was
Yeah.
pretty good.
And then Charlotte Hale comes and confronts him. He's like, "I'm fucking busy. Leave me alone."
Right.
And I think that that's the first time you figure out that William, or the Man in Black, owns Westworld.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
we knew he had a stake in because he made that clear from the beginning, but we didn't know why QA was like, "No, give him whatever the hell he wants to." That part at the beginning was like, "Wait, why?" But
Yeah,
now that we know that,
he's just doing whatever he wants to do.
Yep. And I mean, yeah, let's let that cat out of the bag, I guess. That we do find out later on through the story with him and Dolores that after he gets a little pissed off, he makes Dolores journey down memory lane and remember who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And the Man in Black and William are the same person. And I thought that was like incredible. And here's where that's so crazy. Not just because of when Charlotte comes to him in the park was our first kind of tip, like, wait, he's somebody. When Ford did it, we didn't really pay attention to it.
Right.
Yeah,
But
Ford
it
don't
didn't
give
click.
a fuck. Ford is like, no, like fuck y'all. Y'all do
But I'm
what
just
you
saying,
want to do, but you're not gonna bitch me out.
we didn't think about how important the Man in Black must be.
Right.
Forget it, not really worried about who he actually is. And we also, I know I continuously was wondering, why do we keep calling him the Man in Black? What is his actual name?
Mm-hmm.
Well, William, we can start calling him William now, I suppose.
Now we can call him William. And the cold thing was two things. One, he was so broken and he had discovered himself on a real level to where he became so successful and so cutthroat in real life, he was able to benefit so many other people and buy an entire basically universe theme park.
Yep. He became so obsessed with Westworld that he basically stole his brother-in-law's company.
Right.
And became
Not basically, he did.
Yeah, he did steal his brother-in-law's company and then bought Westworld.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think right, but I think that's all important. Like we just letting that cat out of the bag early because at the beginning of this episode, the Delos, or the middle of the episode, really, the Delos board arrives at Westworld.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately think to myself, this, I don't know why, but it gave me Game of Thrones vibes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah, like Red Wedding. Yeah, you guys are all in the same place. Yeah.
Too many out in the same place.
Right.
And yeah, so right from there, I expected the heat to turn up in the kitchen. We saw some really Hannibal-like motions coming from Ford, but not sinister.
Oh, it was sinister. What are you talking about?
I don't think it was as sinister as
it was
they
ominous, at least.
Maybe, but it was hurtful. It was hurt. No, excuse me. It was from a place of hurt. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, he knew that it was basically over when Hale came into his office. Like he knew. He knew it was up. Yeah.
You know, she got them cojones grew. You walk in my office touching stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. She was wearing her big girl pants in that scene.
For sure.
But yeah. I mean, you could definitely tell Ford was up to something, and you know, I did like the concept of, because we're kind of getting the end of episode 9, the concept of like cornerstones, and how tragedy is the most important thing for a cornerstone memory for the hosts, because it makes them as close to human as possible. Yeah, it reminds me of that Buddhist concept that, you know, life is suffering, and you know, like it's a kind of a heavy subject for sure, but I think it's a pretty cool idea that in order for you to sort of bootstrap consciousness, you have to tie it to something tragic. And it goes back to the Man in Black's point, is that, you know, the only time he ever thought that the hosts were real is when they were experiencing tragedy. And, you know.
Yeah, and I think it's a key thing for everybody. It was a key thing from, you know, from Arnold death to the creation of Bernard to almost everybody except
Maeve,
you know,
Dolores.
Just about everybody. It was like a fucking running theme. It was basically like, how would you say it? What do you call those? This is how you tell I didn't too much care for Shakespeare. I forgot what you call it, but I mean, it was definitely one of those things where, you know, tragedy was just its main point. But you know, you guys are completely right. It definitely led to, you know, the bootstraps, you know, pushing forward into life, becoming that person you thought you never will, or push the boundaries of life itself to experience what life is really about.
Right.
Yeah. The concept of, you know, like the only thing that is real in this world is struggle and hardship. You know, you think about the hosts, and they're living in this artificial world where they don't have to feel pain if they don't want to. They don't have to remember things if they don't want to. And it's actually a hellish dystopia for them, because, you know, like it is the things that make us hurt, that make us better as humans. I mean, you know, in the most part, sometimes we don't, you know, like sometimes it doesn't work that way. But, you know, if you make it through, then I think that you look back at your hurt and realize that it transformed you in some way.
For sure. I mean, look what it did to William. Turned him to the Man in Black.
Right. I did love that. I did love that sort of montage where he's explaining, you know, like how he searched the entire park for Dolores, only to find her in Sweetwater again. She doesn't even recognize him. Like was at that point, I was like, damn.
Shoot her dead.
Yeah. That dude is gonna go fucking crazy.
Send her to South World.
Yeah.
But so once he gets to the town, the Man in Black, or William at this point, right? It's funny that, I don't know. It's just funny that they had that whole moment, he and Dolores, where you're thinking like, easily they're about to be on the same side, because he wanted to free the host too, and nope.
No, he still hates Dolores.
Hates her.
Yeah.
Hates her. Shatters her arm and everything. I mean, well, actually,
she pays him back pretty good.
But honestly,
yeah.
Right after the William and Men in Black story came full circle, that was the first time I thought to myself, are we watching like just one long ass storyline? Like just one story of the whole park?
It's like a flashback, just fucking bouncing around, coming into a full circle at the very end.
Like that, it just felt like we really just watched, if we're being honest, the Bernard storyline.
Yeah. Oh, there are definitely
William.
Yeah. There are definitely 3 storylines going on.
Yeah.
So you have like the current day, which is like where Maeve is at. You know, then you have the past, which is where Dolores and Arnold's and, you know, Bernard are kind of in that. And then you have like, And then you have like bits in between where it's like, William, you don't know that William is a past, as a past character.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, if you go back and watch it, you can tell because in the very first scene, he's introduced, the logo to Westworld is different and it's older. And and you see that the girl that was flirting with him at the beginning is the girl that's in Wyatt's crew. She's the one that pistol whips the man in black. Yeah.
Oh wow, nope, didn't piece that together.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of little teasers that once you know that that's like a different timeline, it actually you can actually tell pretty well.
See, look at that. So where are we at? Oh, so we're at Teddy shooting the man in black, shooting William. I was like, oh, I guess we really done unlock the next level now. We shooting folk. And then
did Teddy shoot?
Yeah. When he rolled up, the man in black was stabbing Dolores and he pulled up. Pop, pop.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I guess those were just pellets.
Well, you can still, it feels like you're getting punched, I think, when they shoot you. So yeah, you could still get knocked down if you get shot enough.
3 times. Yeah, he definitely took that thing.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't like Rust.
No, it was not.
they knew what to use for their fucking props.
Right. Yep.
So now Maeve has found her whole crew and she enlists Bernard. I thought that was when everything was about to come crashing down fast. But I don't know. I'm a little confused.
Well, Bernard did just put a bullet through his CPU. So,
right.
Bernard's not exactly operating at 100% anymore.
Yeah, I've started feeling that way. I was like, I don't know if he's all there. All the fragments aren't pieced together. But
he's just a step above Clementine at this point.
Damn. But then you go to, what was that? Oh, Teddy taking Dolores to the water.
Yeah.
I was waiting for a mermaid to pop out.
Oh, right.
Nope. I was like, what the fuck? I mean, it was just like, oh, this is our new narrative. Hey, you will never get.
Well, yeah, all of you going to be dead anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, once I saw that, I was like, oh, this is then I was like, oh, and literally I had just written like, this is Ford's new storyline. The whole damn season is Ford's new storyline.
Pretty much, yeah. So you kind of take on the character of William at the beginning and then Teddy at the end, where like you'll have to save Dolores, and you know, like I guess the whole storyline is about Dolores like coming close to that consciousness point.
Which is fucked up. He's probably searching back into the memories, watching what had happened with William.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I wonder what William thinks about that whole storyline.
He was just shaking his head, like drinking his wine, like, fuck you. Fucking prick.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, so I'm thinking, okay, that happens, and I'm honestly like, man, that's a crazy way to end this season. I wonder what's about to happen. Oh, we're not done. And that's when we click to Maeve. And she's on her escape route, but she's already been told by Bernard that it ain't her plan. She's been programmed to do that, and she ain't trying to hear that shit.
Right. Yeah, you can see in the code it says like something like escape, infiltrate, mainland. So somebody wrote into her code that she's supposed to get out of Westworld, and
Which during her escape, I saw an SW logo, which made me think of Southworld.
Oh yeah, no, it's not Southworld. I can give you the name of it.
Soul World?
Shogun World.
Yeah, Shogun World. When they were looking at
all the samurai.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be the young dude's narrative, huh?
Well, so now it's kind of a teaser that Westworld's not the only park in the landmass.
I figured that, yeah. That and I'm guessing that they hide it. Oh, and you can let May figure that out, because then she finds out how large her army really can be.
And find out she does in the next season.
She will, because she didn't leave, and now I know why she didn't leave. Boom.
Right. Yep.
Yikes.
Yikes. Yeah, there's I think there's about 4 parks in the mass of where Westworld is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, for real.
Yeah, kind of like Disneyland almost. There's a Shogun world. There's an shoot, I forget what it's called, but it's basically like a jungle world.
Ooh.
And then there's a future world. Yeah.
So basically, Jurassic Park, Future World, and Shogun World.
Mm-hmm.
You could
Pretty
definitely
much
just call it Jurassic Park.
Yeah. No dinosaurs though. It's
Same
more
creator,
like
right?
what?
In the same.
Oh
creator?
yeah, Michael Crichton. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. He loves his theme parks.
He loves. Well, hey, he knows that violent ends have violent delights, and apparently it's consistent in his theme parks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always something going wrong.
Right, it's something violent.
Right.
So apparently Arnold is the one who missed his son, and he wanted to give Ford an issue that he couldn't simply reverse by throwing it into another host, and that is where we get where we find out the story that Ford tells Bernard, as Bernard is like really now final through his last final memories of it all, and he's being told that the real story of the reveries, the real story of who Arnold is and Arnold's death. When we find out that actually, so this isn't really a memory per se. This is him explaining it to Dolores and him at the same time.
Mm-hmm. We're kind of going through Dolores's memory while he's narrating.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. That was riveting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, even we find out that Dolores is Wyatt.
Right. And Dolores is Wyatt as well. That is also like, wait, what? But that's what happens when you have multiple storylines and they intersect because somebody was an asshat in the writer's room. And not saying that's the case in Westworld. That's the case in what was written into the script. Literally, like that's how that played out.
Yeah. It makes me want to go back to that one scene that Dolores and Ford have together. Because there's a point at the end of the conversation he has with Dolores, and she says, "Are we friends? I feel like we're friends." And he says to Dolores, he's like, "I wouldn't say that." Yeah. He's like, I wouldn't say that at all. And it's like with the information that you find out that Dolores is the one that kills Arnold, that's why that scene I would like to revisit it, because there's probably a lot more tension there than you realize.
I think so as well, because I had to scan back to think, in what ways did Ford refer to Arnold? It was always as a partner.
But never his best friend.
Yeah. And it was like, it wasn't business. It was like, no. I can't do without this person. Like this is with all intents and purpose. I don't care if anybody thinks of it as a sexual way, but that's not how I mean it. A soulmate.
Yeah. Like it was the loss of Arnold was Ford's cornerstone memory.
Right.
That was the thing that made him who he is today. Yeah. So and it fucked him up so much that he built a new Arnold.
Right. With a lot of the same Arnold memories.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, not only that, but past trinkets of himself, of those, tragic moments, in his own past, from a younger version of himself to his own father.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh yeah.
His own extremely abusive father.
Right. Yeah.
Still don't know why he killed the dog.
I don't know why the dog
at all.
Yeah.
But here's something else I'm not sure of. Why did Maeve get off that train? Oh well, now actually we just disclosed that a minute ago, because there's other worlds and she has to discover them.
Well, and also we find out that Maeve is now bucking her programming. So the fact is, she was supposed to stay on that train and go to the mainland according to her code.
Right.
She made a conscious decision to get off of the train because that would prove that she can actually think for herself.
Man, look at there. Didn't think about it that way.
Yeah. So that's one of the big reasons that she gets off of the train. Also to find her daughter, because now she wants to reunite with her daughter.
Reunited. Do you think they're gonna play that song when she finds it? No. Okay, never mind.
She's gonna have that moment. She's gonna have a moment like, "Who are you?" I'm your mother.
Pretty much.
Look all fucking stupid. Like, oh,
right.
I gotta get back your memory. It'd be fucked up if the little girl robots just like fry their fucking circuit board doing it.
Oh, trust me. If you want to hate watch, definitely watch season 2.
Nice.
If you think that this was convoluted, dude, don't even try to watch season 2. It's like, yeah, it's 10 times worse.
It gets worse.
Yes,
it's convoluted, but it's convoluted in a way it makes it full circle. You know, and it was just how it was told. You know, which is nothing's wrong with that. It's better than just writing yourself in a fucking corner. But I think, based off of what other people have told me after I'm telling, I'm watching what do you call it? You know, Westworld. They're like, oh man, season 1 is great. And just the stepping stones for like season 2 and 3, they're just like a couple episodes are good, and you know, like 1 or 2 are good, but it's just and
it doesn't hit the same.
And I think this is where they written themselves into a circle. But we'll see. I might say different. A lot of people don't like other shit, and I enjoy it for the most part. Nothing's wrong with different.
I mean, I feel like this show was very consistent. I mean, again, there's a lot of times I wrote things in my notes like about 20, maybe 30 minutes left in this episode, or the last episode, excuse me. I wrote in my notes, is Ford going to unleash the hosts on the board? And
oh yes,
you know what I mean.
You're damn right he is.
And then you consider before doing that, so he made some particular steps the same way Arnold did, but a little more efficiently, right? So he gave Bernard the key to unlocking the consciousness, and it's not just about this inward journey; it's about suffering.
Yeah,
it's 1000% just the suffering. Like suffering itself is the key, and even Dolores had to go through plenty of that in her journey, even as a host, losing her host father, that being a part of that suffering.
Right. But the difference between the hosts and humans is that humans over time forget the pain of the suffering, whereas the hosts never forget it.
I mean, look at William and his wife and his kid.
Right.
Like he got to the point, like, you know what? Fuck it. It's like, I'm just going to go back to something that keeps me busy.
Right. Well, and then you see William drop the photo, the Abernathy photo.
And you find out how old that is. And it's like, oh, and that was, so when we first saw that, that was when it all kind of started coming full circle about the time. Like, oh, we've been skipping through time. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's like, and it was like, wait, how old is this? 35? Oh, shoot, this is 30-year gap. And that's also to Bernard and Arnold being the same person. It was curious to wonder, like, how did no one know that Bernard was a replication of Arnold? But then you find out, well, Arnold was killed before the park opened. He was killed in front of a bunch of hosts. He wasn't killed in front of anyone. So the only people that knew what he looked like are probably dead, aside from Ford.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it was this point where at the very end when William at the little party, he was sitting there looking, kind of seeing Bernard, and kind of looked like, you look familiar, and just went on his way. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's somebody who knows what Arnold looks like, I mean, I guess it would be William. Yeah, I mean, like he probably would be the only one that would know what Arnold would look like, and he's never seen Bernard before, so it would make sense that if he saw Bernard, he'd be like, "Why the fuck is Arnold here?" You know, or like, I guess he doesn't know who Arnold is, though, right? Because he never really like.
Yeah, he never met Arnold. He only knows of Arnold.
He knows of him. Okay. Yeah.
Because he said he's only been coming here for 30 years. The park's been open for 35 years.
Right. Right.
Arnold died about a year before the opening.
Year before.
So, yeah. Long removed.
And
that's what made Hannibal sinister.
Yeah. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is always a great actor to watch on TV or the silver screen.
It was actually sad to see him go.
I know, me too.
I was just like, really? And that was quick. Well, I'm like, all right, cool. That's what you guys want to do.
They only had enough money to pay him for one season. That's probably what it came down to too. You know, it's like he's probably quite expensive to have for a episodes, 10 hours of Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. That's a
probably
lot.
worth a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, so he's basically written off as shot in the head and died the exact same way as Arnold, and had Dolores do it in the same fashion, but in front of people now, and they were sieged upon by the host. I love that. I just love that.
Or he could be a host himself, and he's really just sitting there fucking Wizard of Oz style.
Right. It was just a host possibly. Of Ford. Yeah,
that's possible too.
Another
he did have a little bit of vigor when he was giving that speech. Like all of a sudden he has a new spry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you guys do end up watching season 2 on your own time, you'll find out the aftermath of all of that that chaos that happened at the last scene for sure.
They're gonna write it off. They're gonna write it as a tax write-off.
Yeah, it's actually you're not too far away from what they do, dude.
Ain't that a bitch?
It's so brutal, dude.
Oh my god!
It's like super corporate. Like,
damn.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's what happens, man.
Yep.
You know, it's no surprise. I mean, come on, shit. I'm not even. This shit most likely happens. Shit, what goes on today?
Right.
It's the realization of what life is and how it's interpreted.
Yeah.
But you know,
for sure.
Society.
I think that brings us up to speed. Is there anything that else you wanted to bring up? I think we got all the main bits, right?
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Logan. I don't know where the hell he is, but he's naked somewhere. He's naked 30 years ago somewhere, I guess. I'm assuming that he made it out of the park.
That's a bold assumption.
Right. Yeah. He's
I
just
think he did, just fucking fucked up in the head even more so.
Daddy William, Billy beat me.
Well, and I think that William did that on purpose to discredit him, to make him seem like a crazy, so that his father would give William the company instead. Right. Which obviously worked. So, you know,
crafty.
Yep.
Wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yes. Yeah. He's not a good guy, man.
Logan, you set it up, baby. Come on.
Yeah, it is Logan's fault, to be honest.
Agreed.
He created the beast.
Well, yeah, I think that we ran out of the story of Bear. You know, I think that, you know, I'll probably watch season 2 on my own time just to get a laugh out of it. Season 3 has Aaron Paul in it, so if you're interested in that,
come on, Nick, you are not making it enticing. Like,
I know,
laugh out of it.
I know. I'm sorry.
Why?
Look, I will say about season 2, there are some really interesting storylines. So it's not all terrible, but like you were mentioning, well, like Deshaun was mentioning about kind of like the convolutedness, like it really tries to step it up to 11 on season 2. So like they try to be way too like, oh, was this a mystery? Is that a mystery? They're trying to recapture season 1, and it doesn't do the same. It's not as impactful as season 1. So.
You know, I'm gonna say this on this. I wouldn't be surprised. But if it happens this early on, I should be. Generally, I think it's okay. Versus other things I've watched and other things I've seen where, you know what? No, it's not okay. And it's fucked up to say it in this notion, because what I've noticed with a lot of TV series now, season 1s are great. Season 2 is okay.
Right.
Then we get stuck in these loops. And the one that really a lot of shows that remind me of this is CW shows. I mean, I guess they're the perfect examples. I'll admit it, man. CW shows are great. First seasons, second seasons, okay. And after that, it's just like I'm watching an episode of the Power Rangers every time I flip on the station. It's like,
yeah,
or an episode of Scooby Doo. And you know what? It's a lot of these things come out with great concepts, great things going on, and they just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And yeah. it's certain comparisons I want to try to save for when we do that video game episode too.
Yeah.
And I
definitely.
think just media in general, from it's all entertainment. So I guess just from those different genres of it, from video games to movies to TV series, and even comic books or even just literature itself, same shit.
Yeah.
You kind of just got to pick and choose and enjoy it for what it's worth at the milestone it hits.
Yeah, I will say that if you're interested in seeing more about what the heck the Man in Black's life was like, if you're interested in seeing what the aftermath of the massacre is like, then season 2 is interesting. If you're interested in Shogun World and want to see what that's like, season 2 is also interesting. So, but we will leave that. That will not be mandated by Screen Time Continuum. That'll be something that we watched on our own time because it took us like 3 months to finish this.
I mean,
But you guys know the
just
assignment now.
yeah. I mean, next time we can be like, all right,
We'll just
you
do
guys
the
know
season
in
as a whole.
in 2 more weeks we're doing like season 2 of such and such.
All right, yeah, that's cool with me. Yeah, we just do the whole season as a whole. That would be pretty fun, for sure. Okay, guys. Well, the only thing we have left to do is give our reviews and our ratings and final thoughts. So, who would like to go first on this one?
I can go first.
Sure.
I am out the gate. This gets an 8.5 for season 1. I loved it as a season 1. I do want to know what season 2 is about, but I am glad that you were letting me know not to cast the sails too wide for that. So with that, I had to take a little bit of steam off of it. I kind of wanted to even bring it maybe a little lower. But if we just got season 1 and we never got a season 2, which is how I voted on this,
right?
Yeah, 8.5.
Nice.
Keep your towel on, sir. Keep it on. Too steamy.
Just saying,
Too
man.
steamy.
I give it a 7.5. For me, I threw out my tidbits of it, but I did enjoy it. I really did enjoy it. I love the concept of it. Love where it went. Just felt like a little bit at the end there was like too many twists. I'm like they could have used for build up in season 2 for sure. But I'm gonna check it out. I'm still gonna check it out and see what goes on because I'm still very much interested in what's gonna happen. So, I was sold when I seen the summarized stuff, and I was thinking that was just something in the making, but it's already there. So
it's already
here we
there.
go.
Yep.
And I want to see this futuristic shit too.
Right.
Yeah, that should be cool.
So yeah,
Yes.
it was a very satisfying season. So yeah,
Good. Yeah,
I'm all up for it.
I'm glad that you guys liked it. Yeah, I really enjoy season 1. I don't want to poo-poo season 2 and 3 too much because they're different experiences. And if you're interested in just finding out more about the world of Westworld, and like in season 3, you get to go outside of Westworld and see what the actual world is like, which is interesting. So yeah, I mean, if you're okay with maybe not having it as good as season 1. At least that's kind of the general consensus. Some people like it more than season 1. So,
wow.
you never know. You never know. Some it's really up to your taste about what you like about the aspects of the show anyways. So, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoy season 1. I think that it can stand on its own, in my opinion. I feel like it kind of closes the loop pretty nicely. It leaves some mystery for the next season, which is good too. So yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it's a good solid 8. It's great. I like the use of the music through the old timey pianos. I like the acting. I think the acting is really great. The storylines are intriguing. The settings obviously are really beautiful and intriguing as well. The characters are awesome. So I especially enjoy Hector and Armistice just going on a fucking tirade and murdering so many people. That was a lot of fun.
That last episode was like bloody, and I did enjoy the music with the massacre.
Yeah,
Agreed,
I love when they get the machine guns and they're like they're just overjoyed.
These P90s with endless bullets.
Right.
That was pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Like,
They were so happy about it.
It's automatic, boy. We've been getting that bolt action shit.
Right, exactly. We could only fire one bullet at a time. But yeah, so I think an 8 is my rating for Westworld season 1 for sure.
Very nice. That brings us to a 24 out of 30.
Hey, that's an 8.
That's over Loki.
It is over Loki.
Definitely over Loki.
I think that it deserves to be above Loki for sure.
There you go.
But yeah, you guys have anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up?
I would have liked to known who for sure is gonna die, but that's what makes me want to see season 2. Everything else about season 1 was really good, and again, we could leave it at that, and I would have no complaints.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, if you're interested in the follow-up to all of that stuff, season 2 will give you all of those answers for sure. So, which is, it's kind of cool to kind of leave it out there and be like, all right, well, you kind of hooked me for certain aspects of season 2 for sure. So yeah, cool, guys. Well, if that's all we got, I think we can wrap it up now.
As long as it's not as good as the decline of greatness to failure of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah. Oh well. Okay, so I could definitely say that season 2 is not as bad as the transition between season 6 and 7 in Game of Thrones, or the last season of Game of Thrones.
That was my idea.
Yeah. It's not that. It's not that bad.
So it's worth the watch.
It's worth it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's worth the watch.
You can take that towel off, Keelan.
Yeah,
it's getting steamy again. It's getting steamy.
It's steamy.
It is. You learn a lot more about the company Delos too in season 2 as well. So yeah, might be pretty much just giant corporation. Okay, well, thank you so much, you guys, for listening. We hope that you enjoyed this review of episode 9 and 10, and sort of our review of season 1 of Westworld. We very much had a great time watching it, and we hope that you guys had a good time watching us talking about it. Please feel free to give us a thumbs up and a comment and a subscription to our YouTube page. It would really help us out. We're trying to build that audience up, and we can't do it without your help. So thank you so much for taking the time to just watch us, and we really appreciate you guys out there for giving us your support. It means the world to us. So thank you very much. And we hope that you're having a wonderful evening, or anytime you're listening to this. We all have separate podcasts that we do. We come together here for Screen Time Continuum, but Keelan's got his own podcast. It's called If Numbers Could Talk. It's on at Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. If you're interested in statistics, numbers, sports, movies, anything that has to do with the rankings, power rankings of things, and the statistics therein, please go check him out. He's got a bevy of episodes already ready for you to watch. If Numbers Could Talk, he's got a Facebook page and a YouTube page. Again, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Dijon the Mustard has his own Twitch page. He does his streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. He's always a good watch, especially if you're into watching the video game world. I find it somewhat soothing to watch somebody else play video games. So if you're like me and like to watch somebody play video games and see where they either make mistakes or where they get something that you don't get, and that makes you want to go play the game because you're like, oh, I've never even noticed that before. Check him out, Strawberries and Coffee on Twitch, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Strawberries and Coffee.
I'm just gonna market it as the controlless version of Game Pass, because you don't have to wait.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. If you're interested in a game and you just don't want to, buy it, maybe go check out Dijon. He might have already played it for you. And you can definitely watch his streams and go gauge whether it's worth the buy or not. So again, Strawberries and Coffee, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. I got a podcast called Exofathom. We're on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Our latest episode was on tulpas and imaginary friends and sort of psycho-energetic beings. So if you're interested in the strange, the bizarre, the occult, the mystery, check us out, Exofathom, on Monday nights at 8 p.m. But if you're a purist at heart and just love the vibe that we we three come together as Voltron to create. Please please continue to watch us on Screen Time Continuum, and we very much appreciate you. Thank you for taking this trip through the Screen Time Continuum with us. For Screen Time Continuum, I am Nick.
I am Keelan.
I'm the mustard.
Good night, everyone.
It's hot.
It is hot.